Aloha guys, you're watching JRTV Hawaii in search of the sacred marriage, new ideas, and world peace. And today I'm going to discuss why I've been in the past rude to myself and others and allowed others to be rude to me. I'm just using these more generic terms because, you know, to be specific, I sometimes would flirt with women, they'd flirt with me, and the situation might be awkward because I didn't have the social cues to see whether they actually like me or not. And then in other instances, other people have seduced me, and I had low self-esteem, so I had no concrete understanding of and pursuit of marriage, so I was unable to exercise my own will and my own determination. But I'm going to tell you why, the source of all of this. It's all about understanding the concept of love and how to relate that to others. And also I'm going to look at a few other examples in society that we see. And so, starting off with me, I allowed people to, disrespect me because I was angry. And the reason I was angry was because I was labeling people as an authority, the role of authority. Now, as an adult, I have my own self-determination, willpower, and exercise my judgment, and therefore I don't need to label somebody as a guardian. I use the term guardian, and instead of the term father, mother, grandmother, because I think that these terms are vague and unclear. And when you say you love someone, it's really whether you love their values or not. It doesn't have to do with biology. We know that some people resent certain people that they're biologically related to. So it's not a great consequence. And a lot of times, the concept of courage might come up, and for me, courage is just environment. It's if you're in a position to make a choice, then it looks courageous, but it's really about position. It's really about positioning yourself and having the affordability and knowledge to be able to mentally and financially, emotionally exist on your own. And so the problem is that people need to recognize that's what love actually is, and it's better it's better to label each other on a first name basis instead of the dominance and submissive roles of father, son, uncle, nephew, etc. Because that's not really love. Love is a science based upon what people mutually, the commonality they mutually share. And so what I will say is that in society, you have people who like Catholic priests. Why do they do that? Well, it's because they're not pursuing marriage, which I think is meant to be, as long as you're healthy of mind and body enough to pursue it. And they're also not pursuing self-intimacy, which I think is the necessary precursor to marriage and self-control. All these variations, right, in society of, well, we sort of like each other, it's non-commitment, it's premarital intimacy, these are all like along the bell curve, with the best thing being no intimacy until marriage, and the worst thing being things like prostitution, molestation. And by the way, check out, we got the nice view of the ocean out here. It's quite nice. So I'm going to touch on that. I'm going to touch on the idea of I call it the victim paradox and the prostitute paradox. Prostitute paradox occurs when people say that, you know, they say the prostitute or a client, they'll be willing to seduce one another if they don't care about each other. If they do care about each other, paradoxically, they won't want to be intimate and exchange money for body and whatnot. They'll not do that. You know, and it's all variations of prostitution in society, unless it's true love and a sacred marriage. And the victim paradox suggests that, you know, it's not just about the man and he being rich and cunning and seducing the woman, but it's about the woman, or whatever the dynamic of the exchange is. It's about the woman seducing the man with their body. And there's usually a gray area where it's a combination of sharing resources, trading body for body, but you're not trading soul for soul. You're not connecting your souls. So it's just burned up energy. And men get the mistake of thinking that they're getting something. They're getting that orgasm gratification, but what that actually is it's just a drug. And once they burn that energy up, they're giving it all to the woman. And then the woman might, if they're not their wife, then guess what? They're going to use that energy for something else. And equivalently, what happens if the woman, you know, and then the woman thinks that she'll be able to convince the man to be more like her. I think that's often how, and change the man. I think that's another dynamic. But the point here is, guys, is why does this disrespect happen in society? Different levels of perversion and disrespect is because people aren't actively thinking of marriage, and not actively thinking, oh, you know, I want to respect other people and I want them to have a good marriage, instead of trying to seduce them and think they might like them and all this vagary and non-commitment. And so, yeah, guys, let's be clear on labeling ourselves our own authority. That's probably the main reason I think a lot of people engage in disrespectful acts, because at a subconscious level, and it doesn't matter if your parents or uncle are friendly and good. And by the way, most molestation occurs within families, so it's labeling these people these roles of authority and giving them your authority. Like, for example, instead of learning how to be your own mentor or encourager and all, or psychologist or whatever, depending too heavily on other people that might be able to take advantage of you in a certain position, or being financially imprudent and therefore being financially dependent upon other people. All this leads to, you know, the destruction of people, of one person to the other. And there should be an admittance that the person is not, they're not, you know, some people can't change. Some people, you know, they're just passing on the suffering they had, of maybe they were molested before in the past. But the point being, guys, is when if you really want truth and love, you have to define what that is, what your own truth is, and ultimately, it's not about being courageous. It's, like I said, it's about the positioning that you have. If you have enough money, if you have enough knowledge to deal with and avoid situations. It's not courageous to let people verbally, physically abuse you, be disrespectful at work. It's just as simple as, once you're in a position, once you have the opportunity to get out, then you get out. So you have to just make that choice, and guess what? You're shouldering the burden, but you're going to figure it out and make sure that other people don't have to shoulder that burden in the future. So that's for example, my and current society, that's our collective goal, and let's reach it, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. A lot more on my channel to see, and easyworldpeace.com. That's for you to check out. So again, mahalo. Thanks for enjoying the sunset with me, and let's go for it. True love.